that's kind of shocked the 49ers are favored. I don't feel like they've played their best football in 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? They've kind of plateaued. We just talked about they've been outplayed. The Chiefs continue to get better and better. They're peaking. It feels like the 49ers peaked in early December, right? I feel like the Chiefs finally accepted, hey, we're ugly on offense this year. We're going to play defense. We're going to throw short passes, screens, RPOs. We'll take a shot down the field every now and then.
Yeah.
They found their mojo. I'm kind of shocked they're not favored in my world, right? You are.
Yeah, we've talked about that here, too, because it's interesting, like, what people value more, the greater sample size where the San Francisco 49ers were the better team throughout the course of the year, or the current form that you see in the Kansas City Chiefs. And then again, for as much as this Chiefs team has been one that's relied on its defense this year, it's still Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. And I hate that argument, but that's what it is.
It's real.
And it's becoming dynastic.
Right. You know, I know Mike talks to coaches all around football. I talk to a ton, too. The Mahomes thing is very real in the NFL now. There's almost an inevitability like there was with Peyton when he had the ball late in the game, or Brady, right? Where you just went, well, here they go. They're going to go down. They're going to score.
Right.
Do we have a little time left to maybe where we can answer back? That's really what it is. And I talked to a number of coaches that's like, to your point, where they feel like, man, Mahomes and this team have kind of hit that Brady mode where just do what they got to do to win the game. And, of course, in any close game, you go, I don't know, we can pull this off. But that, to me, is like the psychological aspect of the game a little bit, too, is first off, I've never seen a team like the Chiefs play B-minus football all year and then turn it on. Do you remember a team that's ever turned it on like this?
No, but he changed his style.
He did.
He basically, they went from trying to make all these big plays to the saying, you know what, we stink. We're just going to go back to old Alex Smith West Coast offense.
Right.
And we're going to throw it around.
And
Pacheco's going to run the ball.
Right.
But now, here's what I want. I watched Buffalo play the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs are really good on defense. But Buffalo had the ball 37 minutes. Right. They had 5 drives over 11 yards of 11 plays. They had 3 drives that had 18 first downs and scored touchdowns.
Right.
Like, I got to think Kyle is going to take the spread approach that Buffalo did. Now, I know Buffalo averaged 4.8 a carry, 4.8 a pass, and 4.7 a carry. But they controlled the game. I think that's kind of how they have to play them.
I would agree. And I would say, first off, the 49ers offense in totality is better than the Bills.
Way better,
and
right?
Shanahan is better than Joe Brady.
No question.
No disrespect, but I mean, Shanahan is who he is. I would think so, too. Let alone, I don't think the 49ers are going to be stupid like the Ravens are last week and not run the football.
Yeah, the Ravens lost that game on Tuesday. They didn't lose that game on Sunday.
Agreed.
They lost that game on Tuesday.
Their game planning and having that thought was like, no, that's the wrong process of this football game, and you're exactly right. I agree with you. That's where they went wrong.
How does that happen?
It's misevaluation of the team you're playing and misevaluation of other biases of what you want to do, right?
You want to win a certain
It's receivers. It's my quarterback. So we want to win throwing the football instead of just going, just win the game. What the hell do you got to do to win this game?
Which is what the Chiefs have done.
Exactly.
That's all they've done. They said, we're going to win the game. It's ugly. They averaged, 7-7 a play. They didn't have the ball against Buffalo at all. They scored 27 points in 22 minutes.
The Chiefs in the Bills game, I felt like played defenses where they were worried about their run defense.
Right.
They have to be. Right? So that's where I go look at Shanahan, and I think one of the things, like, I'm with you. Spread them out a little bit. Don't let Spags disguise all this stuff.
Right.
You play phone booth football, and everybody's in there close together. It's hard to tell who the hell's coming and who's not coming and like that. So you can clean the picture up a little bit, maybe get some numbers advantages, and then run the ball from there.
And I think you got to use McCaffrey in the passing game.
100.
Because now it's got to declare to Spags, who's the blitzer?
Right.
Who's coming?
Right.
Like, if somebody's out there covering him away from the formation, you got to handle that, right? Like, who is the blitzer? And it may be the guy that's blitzing is the guy who's responsible for McCaffrey. Now they got to make him check in a call
and mess up.
Which Baltimore did none of that. They did none of that, and they were playing at home.
Yes, I think you got to test that aspect. I had to do a little exercise on my podcast yesterday, 10 most non-important QBs of the Super Bowl, and my number 1 was McCaffrey. And, I mean, obviously he's really good, right? So it wasn't like that, but it was more along the lines of, to me, he's the schematical chess piece that can really stress out Spags in the matchup.
Yeah.
He can give Purdy and Shanahan some clues. I wouldn't be shocked on the first drive if we saw McCaffrey moved everywhere just so Shanahan can go, okay, they're going to play like this when I do that. They're going to. So it's all about setting up future drives. But he's going to test it out and go, how's Spags going to adjust to this? How's he going to do that? And I would think there's some of that going on.
I couldn't agree more. I think he is the wild card. And I say this all the time. Stormy and I talk about it. In any other offense, he's not as effective. But he's the luxury item on the car.
Right.
He really is the guy. If he's just the main back, if he's the Derrick Henry of the offense, that don't work.
No, right.
But when he's the luxury item and you can move him around, like I got to think he's going to catch 8 passes for 70 yards.
I'm with
you.
Who
covers him for the Chiefs?
Exactly. I'm with you. They're going to have to be smart and better be careful because I mean, I know Stormy and Mike, like he runs routes like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
No question.
So they have to be smart on how they match up with him.
It's so unique that they have weapons like Christian McCaffrey and like Deebo Samuel that really can line up anywhere in that offense.
Right.
Before we let you go, we got a couple minutes here left because you mentioned first Super Bowl here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
As a former player in the league, and you've seen all of the talk about how taboo this city was from an NFL perspective for so long. How surreal is it that we have an NFL team and a Super Bowl in the city?
It's amazing. I mean, from where I started my career, early 2000s, I mean, Vegas, gambling, all those things together were like, no, you can't trust football players in Vegas, right? And I was one of them. You couldn't trust me when I was 23 or 24 in Vegas.
And that's why they sent the team out to Lake Las Vegas.
Exactly right. They're like, let's remove them as far as possible. But, hey, it's the sign of the times. The world's adjusted. The league's adjusting.
We're going to Brazil, for Christ's sake.
We're going to Brazil.
I mean,
I'm sitting under talking to you, DraftKings.
We're going to Brazil. I mean, I never even thought that Brazil would even see a football.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
but the league is exploding, and I think because of social media, because of the gambling, right? Even where I live up in the Northeast, right? There's a lot of transient people from different countries, and I could tell, like a guy from Spain comes up to me, and he's got a Spanish accent, but he's asking me about the NFL, and he's intrigued, and it's really taken off. There's no question about it.
Well, I know you're all over the place this week, so thank you so much for taking some time for us.
I always got time for you, too. I don't know how you work with him all the time. How do you do that? You must be a saint.
Thank you. I'll make sure that I tell my husband that.
Do that.
You know, my husband still doesn't think I'm a saint.
I think you are. Yeah, I mean, look, you put up with all his... How does he root for the Carolina Panthers? I mean, seriously, that's got to be a painful thing existing.
It is a challenging existence.
Like, how did that ever happen? Does he grow up in Charlotte?
He grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, so the beach town out there in
well, it's the home of Michael Jordan. He should root for whatever team Michael Jordan's with.
Fun fact, he went to his high school, went to Michael Jordan's high school back in the day.
Amazing.
We're going to hit the break. Appreciate Chris Sims joining us here on the Lombardi Line. Mike Pritchard will be live on the desk with us when we return.
This is the Lombardi Line, live from Media Row for Super Bowl 58 on VSiN, the sports betting network.
DraftKings Super Week rolls on as we're getting set for Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. This is presented by 1-800-Flowers.com, DraftKings official flower for Valentine's. Alongside Michael Lombardi, Stormy Bonantoni with you. In VSiN's own Mike Pritchard joins us live on the desk, former NFL wide receiver, obviously doing great work with us as an NFL betting analyst here with us at VSiN, and a Vegas local as well.
That's right.
And we just had a conversation with Chris Sims and talking about how the relationship with Vegas and the NFL and sports as a whole has changed so much. But like, you've lived here for a very, very long time. And I remember talking to you about betting, and you said after you got out of the league, you were still afraid to step into a sports book. So I feel like this has got to be crazy to have the Super Bowl in our town.
Yes, 1,000%. I mean, our pro team growing up was the Rebels, right? Yeah. Randall Cunningham, and watching him play. And I went to school with Greg Anthony, so the Running Rebels, I was a big Running Rebels fan as well, too. So those were our pro franchises, and not in a million years did I think that we were going to host the Super Bowl, let alone have a franchise here. But yeah, they scared the bejesus out of us about sports betting when I was in the league. And funny stories in terms of friends coming to town and wanting to hang out. And I would never enter the vicinity of a book. I was so scared that the FBI would literally knock on my door. So I would not even go down the stairs, you know, if you're going to the Westgate and or any book around town. I would not even come close to them thinking that I was going to a book.
The warnings worked.
Yes.
You know, as shocking as it is to be here, and it's wonderful too, but the one that blew me on my feet, playing in Brazil. Did you ever think that would happen?
No. We played, you know, Pat Boland was the travel committee. He was a chairman because the league has all these committees and boards, and so he was ahead of that. So we always traveled. We went to Japan.
Right.
We went to Barcelona.
But those were preseasons.
Those are preseason, though, not regular season. Right. So I knew way back then that the league wanted to expand internationally.
Yeah.
Now that they're going to be streaming too, and so we're going to have games in Brazil. Wow. About that.
Michael said yesterday too that he thought it's just a matter of time before we have actual teams overseas, and obviously Major League Baseball we have Canadian teams and everything. Right. But do you see that happening, and in what time frame potentially for the NFL?
Well, we had NFL Europe, and that worked. I think the travel was a concern. But now, the charters and the planes that we have and the technology, I'm sure that they can get around the travel and those aspects. And teams kind of stay. Like if you are the 49ers and you're playing back-to-back games on the East Coast, you're going to stay over there anyway. So maybe they can figure out a schedule.
Yeah. I think they're going to go 3 and 3. I think they're going to do it a little bit. I think you can certainly do it. And if you can schedule it. Let's go. You've had 10 days, and we have gone back and forth. I've gone back and forth. I know we had to submit our picks to the guide, and everybody should get the guide because there's great information. But where are you today on the game?
Well, I had a lean towards the Chiefs, and now I'm on the Chiefs.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's not so much Patrick Mahomes. It's more about the defense. I mean, last year in the Super Bowl, that defense was young going up against the Eagles. And people were worried about that young defense and will this moment be too big for them? But they held their own and they did a decent job. I think they complemented what the Chiefs did last year. Now they asserted themselves. And this defense, I keep looking at scenarios and even red zone, like the red zone opportunities that San Francisco has given up defensively aids Patrick Mahomes in that offense, how they matriculate and how they can create those opportunities. But the Chiefs defense has been stingy in the red zone. Like Miami didn't even get to the red zone. Baltimore got there one time at home. And that was the Ravens. And I know the game plan, people talk about the game plan with the Ravens, maybe it was suspect or not, but that defense really rose to the occasion, in my opinion.
And Buffalo really lost the game in the red zone. They weren't able to cash it in when they got down there.
Right.
I mean, they did a few times on the 3 drives where they had 6 first downs on those drives. But for the most part, they had to settle in the last drive of the game. They had to settle.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the 49ers defense has been a problem, and they can't get to the quarterback, and their secondary has had a number of lapses. And I know as a fan, that's something that concerns me in this matchup. But what's the battle that you think is going to be the most critical within this game?
Well, the linebackers. I mean, the linebackers to me always, that's the battle because of protection and then certainly, and scheme. Now, here's where I think the 49ers could have an advantage. I don't know if Kyle's going to get to it, though. Like, what don't you see in today's NFL? You don't see offset eye, and you don't see split back behind a quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, if he has that in his game plan, I think that throws off Kansas City a little bit because you don't see that. Like, you see shotgun and you see 2 backs, but you don't see a quarterback behind the center and split backs. And you can run the same plays. They can run all the same stuff that they've been running all year long, but it will throw off the linebackers because now you got Kyle Juszczyk in routes or blocking. You certainly have Christian running routes or blocking. And then if you put Debo and Christian back there, now what are you going to do? So if Kyle can get creative that way and still run the same plays, you're not going to interrupt the confidence of Brock Purdy at all.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key, right? You know, they got to try to do something to get that to kind of create that sense of element, lose the confidence a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think we're talking about this game. We're talking about settling down and getting into the flow of the game the quickest. And I think that's on the side. That's where the edge is for Kansas City.
Yeah.
I think because they've been here so often that they're going to get in a flow. Like if they win the toss, maybe they take the ball. Or
yeah, they've been so good in the first quarter. They've driven down. That's why I keep saying the script is the most important play of the game because they've been so good. And all year the Chiefs have not been a great covering team, and now they've covered 5 straight games going into the Super Bowl. They've not only changed their identity of kind of what they've become. So and then really they've covered 4: the Cincinnati game, and then these 3 playoff games. We won't count the Charger game.
Yeah, but winning as an underdog outright is significant, obviously, for Kansas City. Now, Super Bowl week is the week more than any other that everybody wants to talk about props.
Right.
What do you have in the account right now? What's your favorite prop?
Well, I have a parlay as my favorite one.
A prop parlay.
Because
my kind of guy.
Anytime touchdown, right?
Okay.
So Christian is a favorite, and so is Isaiah Pacheco. the running backs.
Both at minus odds. Yeah.
Right, but if you parlay that, I got it at plus 159. So a little plus money right there.
I love that.
It's a high percentage play, I think.
Christian McCaffrey's had 2 touchdowns in each of the last 2 playoff games. Isaiah Pacheco's had 8 touchdowns the last 7.
Right.
And we know CMC's been just a scoring machine for them. I love that.
Yeah,
Getting plus money? Come on, Michael.
I know. You got to love that a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, you two are great at this. Is there one, are you leaning towards Pacheco rushing yards? Are you leaning towards any of those? I think McCaffrey's receiving yards, even though it's dropped, I think he's going to have a big game in the receiving element.
Yeah, I think so too. And, depending on how Kansas City plays this, if they play, more man-to-man, that features the playmakers for sure for San Francisco. But if they zone it off, it'll be interesting how they get to some of their concepts. But I love the Chiefs in the game, but I did sprinkle a lot on anytime touchdowns for a lot of San Francisco players.
Okay, who we got?
Playmakers, George Kittle, Juszczyk. Certainly, I think Juszczyk could be the wild card in this game.
Go on.
That's right, Debo. Ayuk, even Jennings. I put some on Jennings too because I think the role
now you've taken it one step too far,
No,
Fritz.
I think
You've taken it
players.
one step too far, throwing Juwan Jennings in there. But I'm very curious about your comment on Kyle Juszczyk. Why you said he could be a wild card? Why?
Yeah, because they have a true fullback in their offense, whereas Kansas City they don't.
Right.
And I think with a true fullback, whether it's I formation, those linebackers they don't see ISO blocks that often, and he's a great fullback. And then if he's implemented in a passing game, I think that really puts a lot of pressure on the linebacking core for Kansas City.
I liked Juszczyk over 3.5 receiving yards. It got bumped up to 4.5, but I still feel like if he gets a reception,
it's got to be 5 yards or more, right? Yeah, I think so
That's
too.
That's what I'm thinking. That seems like take it, throw it in the bank.
Fullback in the flat. The only problem with that is when if he scores a touchdown, it's a 2-yard touchdown, right? You only get 2. Right?
Well, that was my fear. Yeah. There was an Elijah Mitchell prop for him to have. I want to say it was over 1.5 rushing yards or something like that, because it's going to be a Christian McCaffrey game. We're not sharing the load in San Francisco aside from Debo, right? It's Christian McCaffrey, but Elijah Mitchell's, he was with my luck, he'll get a 1-yard goal line touchdown.
I have him too,
hosed.
by the way. I do have Mitchell too.
You two are the best. What teaser do you have besides? You have any other teaser? The same game teaser?
Come on, I'm an SGT. Let's go.
I like the points, right? So teasing up Kansas City and then teasing up the total and playing under.
There you go.
That's the teaser.
That's what I did too.
There you
but
go.
I did a 7 point, so I got it up to 54.5.
Okay, nice. But there's fullback arrow in this offense too. So we see Christian running it, halfback arrow, whatever. But there's fullback. So if we do see offset I or split backs, I will be in-gaming this game because I think that's going to cause problems for Kansas City.
That's something I'm excited about too. And maybe let's say Kansas City does get the ball and they end up scoring right away, getting a better number on San Francisco or something from that standpoint. I love live betting. I think it's an interesting way to.
I think it's great. It keeps you in tune with the game, and it keeps you in the flow of the game to try to understand who's in control and who's in the lead.
For sure. Mike Pritchard, everybody.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Good
doing great stuff with us at VSiN. And of course, you catch him on the Lombardi Line, hosting alongside Femi Abebefe and Mike Palm every single Friday. You are the best, and I know you're just going to continue making the rounds and having people ask you where to go get dinner.
That's right.
All of the things
I'm
that
Mr.
we
Vegas this week.
I know.
All right.
I should have hooked you up with Russo. He needs help.
Yeah, we're going to hit the break, but when we come back, closing things out with a little fun Why Not Wednesday.
This is the Lombardi Line, live from Media Row for Super Bowl 58 on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It's DraftKings Network Super Week as we welcome you back to the Lombardi Line, live from Media Row at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. This segment presented by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno, and it's time to close today's edition out on a high note, having a little bit of fun. Let's run that open. Why Not Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen?
Question, maybe a stupid one, but I'm just spitballing here.
Can it make you say why not?
That wasn't a stupid question.
It's time for Why Not Wednesday.
I mean, why not? You know when they say it's so crazy it just might work?
Okay, nothing gets me going quite like a little Why Not Wednesday. We're looking at some
let's do it.
long shot props for the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And we're going to start with the player that our guy Mike Pritchard was just talking about moments ago. He said Kyle Juszczyk could be a wild card in this game. His anytime touchdown is 9-1. Could you say why not?
Definitely say why not
Yeah.
there. Because, I mean, look, as Mike indicated, they're a two-back team. They spread you out of two-back. They're a base front, and what they try to do is to get you to go into nickel, which the Lions didn't do. They played their base. They said, Purdy's going to have to beat us, throw it. Right? You're not going to run the ball. We're going to be in big people, and even though you're in regular people, we're going to stay in big. So and then he's so effective. And then when you get down the red zone, I mean, fake fullback in the flat, he's got so many options. Yeah, anytime touchdown, why not? I love that.
Okay, Christian McCaffrey has been a touchdown scoring freak of nature this season.
Yeah.
He's got 2 in each of the last 2 playoff games. Now this prop's a little bit unique. Christian McCaffrey to score in both halves. It's plus 450. Could you say why not?
I could say why not on that. I mean, look, here's what you don't want to do. And when you're playing props, I think this is really important. You're playing in the biggest stage, the biggest game of the year. You want your best players to play their best. Mm-hmm. And you want to lose or win giving the ball to your best players. I mean, you don't want to be the Chicago Bulls and not let Jordan shoot the ball in Game 7, right? You want him to shoot the ball. You want your best players to touch the ball in the most important game. This is not a game for Jennings. He might play well, but you're not looking to give him the ball. This is not a game for, Tony. Yeah. You're not looking to get him the ball, right? Sky Moore. No. If they make a play, great. It's about what brought you to the dance, right? And it's McCaffrey, Kittle, Ayuk, Samuel. It's Rashee Rice. It's going to be Kelsey, and it's going to be Pacheco.
If you're Kyle Shanahan, you don't want to be walking away from the Super Bowl saying, I wish that we would have got Christian McCaffrey the ball in his hands a little bit more.
Exactly. You don't want to do that. You don't want to sit there and say, I regret this. I regret. No, you want to say, make them take him away. And then if they do take him away, then you have plans and options around that.
Speaking of playmakers, for the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce has certainly been that in the postseason historically for Patrick Mahomes. Now, we all know about the octopus prop. It is, will the same player score a touchdown?
Prop. I didn't know this one. Teach me this.
Yes. Will the same player score a touchdown and the 2-point conversion? So 6 plus 2, 8 points, octopus. I'm going to do you one better. Will Travis Kelce have an octopus? Will he have the touchdown and then the 2-point conversion? It's 30-1.
You're not getting me on this one. Okay. This is too hard.
Or the draft.
I think it should be. How is that only 30-1?
Well, because they're trying to get you. See how it says blank space in front of the prop? This is part of the Taylor Swift specials that DraftKings has put together.
That should be 70, 80-1. I'm not an odds maker. I don't want to jump on anybody's toes here, but that seems a little improbable.
Challenging.
Yeah, that seems hard to do.
Well, an actual octopus is 14-1 any player, so they're giving you more than double that for Kelce specifically.
Well, that's still low. 14-1 on an. That's a hard thing to do, right?
I agree. It does not happen often, but Jalen Hurts did do it last year, so I think it's come the numbers come down a tick.
Now you bring up a horrible memory for me. We had an octopus moment in Denver. We scored, it was an ugly game, and we scored on a play on 4th down to Gronk. Okay? And we called the exact same play and flipped the formation, and Gronk was wide open, and we didn't throw it to him. Game would have gone into overtime. But, those are kind of few and far between. That's the year we lost to Denver. That was the year Denver killed Seattle in that that was the year Denver killed Carolina, which, by the way, I think Denver was the dog in that game, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I didn't mean to bring up bad memories for you, Michael.
Thank you.
Just trying to.
I just thought about that for the moment.
And now you'll forever call it the octopus. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
Let's stick with the Travis Kelce theme, though, because he has had double-digit targets in 2 of the last 3 games, including an 11-for-11 performance in the AFC Championship game against Baltimore. Travis Kelce to have 11-plus receptions is plus 550. Any interest in a why not?
Boy, if he gets 11-plus, then Steve Wilkes didn't do his job. I would say.
Then I will be crying on my couch.
You would be crying on your couch. I would say I would play it because there is going to be one thing we do know, and why I would play it is because the Chiefs have had plays and drives of 7 or more in 19 drives. They have constantly tried to work the ball with multiple plays. And let's face it, again, go back to what I said earlier. You're going to dance with the one you brought to the dance, and you're going to have to get the ball to Kelce. And if they play zone early in the game, in the first quarter, he's going to catch 5, 6, 7 passes early. I mean, he's going to be the guy they're throwing the ball to.
And as frustrating as it is, we say all the time, no matter who you are as a defensive coordinator, you're saying, let's take away Kelce. Easier said than done.
Easier said than done.
So let's do another one of these Taylor Swift specials on DraftKings. Okay. This one's called Anti-Hero because it's about your boy Brock Purdy. Will he have 250 plus pass yards and 2+ passing touchdowns. It's only 2-1.
Yeah.
So it's not giving you quite as much value as I would like for this one, but it's taken that pass yards number down a tick.
Not taking it down far enough, right? Because I think look, all we've talked is why the Ravens didn't run the ball. And now you're asking me to buy a prop of 250 or more passing. Like, I don't want to go there. I think this is going to be a more balanced game. I think it's going to be, it could be 230 passing with 170 rushing. I think that's something that I think there has to be balance in the game. Look, I love Purdy. I think Purdy's great. I think it's unfair that he gets criticized as much as he does. But all games that need to get won need some balance to them. And Kyle knows he's going to have to run the ball a little bit here.
Since you said why not to Kelsey, and you're talking about the importance of the run game for San Francisco, I have a feeling you're going to say a no thank you to this next prop, but I'm going to throw it out there anyways. George Kittle to lead the game in receiving yards is plus 450.
Oh, I'm on that one.
You are?
I love Kittle on the over total on his receiving yards. I think he's a key player here. I think he's got to make a lot of plays, and I think they got to get him the football. I think they're going to try to do everything they can to take Ayuk out on the outside, but in the middle of the field where Shanahan wants to throw the football, I think Kittle's his best option. I think it's time for Kittle to have a big game. I really do. I like him. That's one of my favorite props is him on the leading in the receiving yards. I think what's he have on? I think it's one of those where I think I could see that happening. I think he's got to be a focal point of this offense.
Give him a bounce back after the 2 catches on 3 targets in the NFC Championship game, just 27 yards. But we know he was a 1,000-yard plus tight end this year. One of the best, if not the best, in the league this season specifically. This is a fun one. Can you say why not to either team kicking a game-winning field goal in regulation? The price is 8-1.
I could see why not on that. I mean, look, the line's 2. We think it's going to be a close game. We know the Chiefs haven't really, other than the Miami game, they haven't blown anybody out. The Cincinnati game, when they started this journey and changed their offense, was a close game. They won by 8. They covered, but that was a back-and-forth game since he ran out of time and since he ran out of actually offensive firepower because of the injuries. So I think it's a close game. I really do. I just don't think it's going to be one of those. I think it can be a back-and-forth game, and I think it comes down to the field goal. We've talked about Moody all the time. Harrison Buckner's really good. He makes kicks. The NFL is a field goal game, even though nobody wants 3 points. I understand nobody wants 3 points, but it is a game. It's a game where 3 points do matter.
You know a prop that I really do like?
What?
Jake Moody to miss a field goal.
Oh,
as much as it pains me to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate that.
He's missed 3 of his last 6.
I know, and I've been ripping him. I've been yelling at him. I have. I mean, look, these rookie kickers, they have to grow up. And, look, he's kicked in pressure games before.
He was great at Michigan.
Great at Michigan. I mean, I think he beat Indiana I remember texting Harbaugh about it. But, I'm rooting for him, so I could see why you would go there.
Yeah, it pains me, but.
I know it does.
Plus money. Mahomes and Purdy to combine for 7+ passing touchdowns. That's a lot. 12-1. Is that enough for you?
No, that's not enough. I mean, they're not giving you any chances here, right? They're not really giving me enough good stuff, are they?
What about this one? Because Andy Reid, we know he likes a little trickeration sometimes.
Yeah, that's okay.
Could Mahomes or Purdy, put them both together, Mahomes or Purdy have a reception? It's 25-1.
I think that's true. I think they could. Especially if it comes down to we need a 2-point play. There's always some kind of trickery that goes involved. Yeah.
So I can lose all my other bets and just hit that one. Let's go.
And then you can get it going. I mean, I think I think that's not a bad one. I could see that happening. Because look, in a game like this, you need something. You need a trick play. I mean, remember, go back to the Atlanta game. 28-3 came back, right? There was a lot of different kind of 2-point plays that the Patriots ran in that game. I could see that. I like that, Stormy.
25-1, ladies and gents. Mahomes or Purdy to have a reception in Super Bowl 58. This was a fun show. Again,
quick show.
Quick every day, I feel like. Again, if you missed any of today's action, though, you can download the Lombardi Line in podcast form wherever you get your podcast. Another star-filled guest list coming up tomorrow, including a couple of NFL insiders, which I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Because we can pick your brain, we can pick their brain. We got Dan Graziano, as well as Jordan Schultz coming on, and a couple of former NFL players. So get ready for the fun to continue.
We're down the stretch, Stormy.
Here on the Lombardi Line. Bye, everybody.